today I'm going to show you guys on how I like to do my ledger boards. Ledger boards are, in my opinion, are one of the more important parts of a deck because one is what attaches the deck to your home. So it needs to be structural and it needs to be waterproof so you don't have any further damage happening to your home. So I'm just going to kind of throw you what I like to do when I have the opportunity to this old house, building a cheap deck. And yeah, I know there's 101 ways. I know everybody has their opinions, but this is just what I like to do. First thing I like to do is I like to put some ice and water shield on here. It's kind of like a super, in dummies terms, it's like a strong felt-ish like paper. It's really weather resistant. I like trying to put it on where it hits just because of it's more susceptible to water due to the ledger board being on there. Normally this stuff is self-adhesive. That's what that paper I was pulling off in the back was. It kind of sticks to it, but because of this cold weather, normally doesn't stick very well, which doesn't affect its principles at all. So normally a few staples to help hold it in place usually gets the job done. So there we go, that's the ice and water shield up, and now we are gonna go ahead and put on the ledger. So when it comes to the position of the ledger, horizontal obviously dictates on where the deck is going to go. Obviously you want to put it in a spot where the deck is going to be square and true. When it comes to the vertical height of the ledger, this is also important because a lot of people will put it right underneath the door. They're trying to eliminate that step there, which I can see the point of that, but the problem that you run into is that if the snow builds up, the snow is going to rest right by the corner of that door. So especially here in the Midwest where our weather can be pretty drastic from time to time or whatever it is, I like to put the ledger about 4 inches lower than the door, if I can. In this case, I am not going to be able to. I'm only able to get like 2.5 inches below the door. But I like to have that step there because when snow builds up on your deck, it's not going to want to build up by your door and cause any damage to your seals by leaking in there or something like that. It's just, I like to have it about underneath the door because when snow builds up, you don't have to worry about it melting and getting under your door. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but it's just an extra step of security just in case. So I know that's where the bottom of the ledger is going to go, so I can rest that on there and set that there and then control it from the other side, tack a nail in, and then come my way down. Break? Nope, we're good. We're good. Set you back up. Here. So I just start by tacking 2 in, because then now I'm going to level it out, because by yourself, sometimes while you're trying to wrestle with it and stuff like that, it can get normally out of level. We mark these before we put these on here. So let's say we were putting it on like a flat piece of siding, which is possible. Not like your actual siding, like a piece of trim. Usually run a level line, mark it out, and then you put this on. But I have the bottom, which I know that I want to match up there to get it low underneath my door, like I said earlier. So the likelihood of me getting this level in the first try by myself is pretty low. No way. All right, so now that we got that level, that was easy enough. I'm gonna put a few more nails in. The nail placement is not as important on most homes because the nails are not actually holding a lot of structural load. When we put the lags in, that is what's gonna hold the load. That placement is very important, but not so much here. reason I'm using a hammer instead of a nail gun is that the only outlet I got outside I had to turn off because there was an outlet that was on here before that was in my way of my ledger, which I got to remount. Because of the stupid freaking house, the outlet was on the same breaker as the furnace of the home. So anyway, I don't want to reach inside and plug it and get the furnace out, especially because there's a young little 6-month-old in there. Hammers are the way. I don't know when it stopped recording, but I got all the nails in. Wow! And it got windy out. So anyway, all the nails are in. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for the next step here. All right, so now we are gonna go ahead and put in the bolts that actually structurally hold in this ledger. So what I like doing first is I like marking them out. I kind of started a little bit here. I like marking them out so they're all pretty like. It's supposed to be on this side to make them uniform. I usually like putting one, me personally, I like putting one on every single floor joist that's running this way. The floor joists are running this way in this house, so I'm able to do that. Sometimes you have them run the opposite way, you have to put on the deck, and you have to do some different stuff. So anyway, that is what we're gonna do right now, is we're gonna go ahead and mark them out. Just bent my square. I'd say it by the time before. Probably need a new one, huh? It's probably not square anymore, but good enough for this right now. So anyway, now I marked all of them. Now I marked all of where my joists are right now. And so what you want to do is that you want to kind of alternate where your fasteners are going. So I have one, I'm going to have one high, I'm going to have one low, I'm going to have one high, I'm going to have one low. That's just code. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to kind of mark neatly where these are going. 2, 6. So anyway, you know how I was supposed to say dogs are barking, sorry. But you know how I said that I should put a fastener on every single one? I still agree, but I realized I don't have enough hardware, so that's cool. But I'll go get some more. I'll get this point out, and I'll pick up some more today. But anyway, when it comes to hardware that you usually fasten this with, there's a lot of different kinds of hardware. Everybody's coming out with something new, grandiose, engineered idea. I'm kind of old school. I just like using these galvanized bolts. They do require a bit more prepping to make sure that they're right. But it's not that I prefer them. These are what I use. These are what I use. Everything else will work, but these ones taught a little bit more prepping, and I'm going to show you kind of what that takes. First thing you do is you need to pilot each hole, each spot where each one of these are going. So that's what I'm going to do. So one thing that is particularly nice about this deck is that I'm able to actually see where my floor joists are running. Most homes, honestly, this is not going to be the case. There we go. Normally it takes a little bit of guesswork and a little bit of math and a little bit of hindsight, unless you have an unfinished basement or unfinished area, which is great. But I'm able to see where every single one of these are. All right, so next step we have to do is that we have to aug out a larger hole for this whole thing to recess into. Reason being is that the likelihood of the beams possibly landing on these could be very high. It might actually be very high on this one, depending on how the rest of it is done. But you want these to countersink inside. So if you do rest a deck joist on top of it, these aren't going to get in your way. So we're going to go around and aug them all out, just a little bit bigger to be able to fit the whole thing inside. So when it comes to these holes that you're auging out, these really do not have to be deep at all. I usually only go about maybe 3/8 of an inch deep, because Once that bolt goes in there, that bolt's going to want to suck in on itself a little bit anyway, to kind of tighten everything together. That's just what it does. So you don't actually need to go that deep. All right, big impact time. Awesome. So anyway, yeah, I gotta go get some more bolts, and I gotta take care of a few things. So let me take care of that, and then I'll be right back. All right, got the rest of the hardware. We're gonna go ahead and finish lagging in this ledger. That is how I put on a ledger board. Key notes is that this siding is all going to be replaced. Normally, you put a piece of flashing, they tape the top of the flashing that goes under the siding. That's going to be easier to do once all the siding's gone anyway. But I accomplished everything. I got it watertight underneath it. I got about 3 inches under my doorway. This is level and it's secured. So just a few more things to finish up. But yeah, that's how I install a ledger board. I know there's 101 different ways to do it, but I prefer this way because it just seems to be the most solid. It may be a little overkill in most cases, but honestly, I'd rather be overkill than not. So anyway, reach out to Highland Builders if you have anything you want to get done. Hopefully see you guys soon. Bye.